Anyway, enough. Enough is enough. I've got this article here. This is an article that exists. It's just online. You can read it for yourself if you'd like. And I'm going to read it to you because this is what I do on my show. So this is an article from Jacobin on the subject of Joe Biden and the Amazon unionization process. So this article is linked to me by union lover Jeffrey in the chat room, and I will cover this because why not? So it didn't take long for Joe Biden to betray the labor movement. All right. After promising to be the most union president you've ever seen, very Trumpian, by the way. I'm going to be the most pro-union president you've ever seen. I love it. Joe Biden is staying silent as Amazon workers try to unionize in Alabama. It could be because he's just being Joe Biden, or it could be because of the massive leverage and influence the company exerts through its size. This is another thing that is that I read is that Joe Biden is trying to use or is thinking about using Amazon for vaccine distribution. So, it could be one of those things where he doesn't want to step on that, which, by the way, is a disastrous idea. Right now, Bessemer, Alabama is the site of maybe the most high-profile union drive in the United States, as close to 6,000 Amazon warehouse workers vote on whether to join the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union, RWDSU. A successful vote could make them the first unionized Amazon workers in the country, blow a hole in the South's longtime resistance to unionization, and spur similar organizing efforts across the country, widening the bounds of possibility for millions of U.S. workers. Not surprisingly, the company is doing everything it can to beat back what is also, in effect, one of the most important fights for racial equality in the decade of the decade so far, whatever it's on top of. Yet, President Joe Biden is missing in action. Despite a political career and presidential campaign built in large part around the image of hard-scrabble working-class union man from belt buckle to shoe sole, and despite pledging to be the most pro-union president you've ever seen, again, ridiculous garbage. Again, Joe Biden is clearly better than Donald Trump, but, when you look at these, quotes, and you just see, Joe Biden say, if you were to say, and Donald Trump said he was the most pro-union president you've ever seen, I would not, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I'm just saying. Biden has stayed silent on the unionization battle, choosing not to even condemn Amazon union-busting tactics. It's in stark contrast to the White House's outspoken support for embattled Office of Management and Budget nominee and union buster Neera Tanden, with officials working the phones to save the controversial nominee from herself. The silence isn't out of ignorance, as if that possibility could even be seriously considered. Labor leaders brought the issue to the White House's attention after Biden's inauguration, and a senior advisor to Biden is keeping tabs on the effort, according to Reuters. This has understandably disappointed RWDSU leadership, progressive activists, and those involved in the effort. There are various possible reasons why Biden is keeping mum. His supporters would argue he wants to avoid the appearance of impropriety, particularly if the National Labor Relations Board he appoints ends up having to rule on the matter. Though this has never been a concern for anti-union conservatives like former Senator Bob Corker, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, or former President Ronald Reagan, all of whom have freely waded into major labor conflicts when it meant crushing workers. There's also the fact that Biden's union-friendly image is built on remarkably little beyond affable backslapping in some well-placed cultural signifiers. For a large chunk of his career, Biden championed policies vehemently opposed by unions, including entitlement cuts, constitutionally required austerity, and the dismantling of welfare, and has betrayed labor with his votes in favor of NAFTA and normalizing trade relations with China. For a time, his rating from the AFL-CIO was as low as neoliberal Senator Gary Hart, whom organized labor despised. But there's also the fact of what Amazon is and how it operates. First and foremost, there is, of course, the money. According to a Reuters analysis, after Microsoft, it was Amazon senior executives who gave Biden the most donations during the Democratic primaries, while the company and its employees were the fifth highest contributors to his candidate campaign committee. The company's longtime general counsel and senior vice president was one of Biden's top fundraisers, while it was one of many corporate giants to donate an unspecified sum, up to $1 million, to Biden's inauguration, an event, given the circumstances, should have been scaled back. Inauguration fundraising has long been criticized as an unregulated backdoor for plutocratic influence, and this year was no different, with those who maxed out getting a private audience with Biden and the First Lady. Again, the idea that like Joe Biden is some savior is ludicrous, folks. This guy is garbage, and he needs to be treated as such because he is garbage. And I'm going to get into another story after this that will prove that the Biden administration is garbage. So let's move on. But there's also Amazon's gradual melding with the U.S. government, part of a larger trend among the tech sector and the Democratic Party. Amazon was one of the first companies from whom the incoming administration drew on to staff its transition team before it launched a lobbying campaign to get allies into top government posts, albeit with not much success. It's now in the talks to assist the government's vaccine rollout, which I mentioned earlier, which at this point is the administration's only real containment strategy for the pandemic, because as one former State Department official put it, FEMA does not have the capacity. Now again, instead of funding FEMA, or instead of funding with emergency funding the USPS or other distribution services, they're going to try to give all of that money to the fucking, to Amazon. It's ridiculous, it's disgusting, and it's ludicrous. Strategy for the pandemic because, as one former State Department official put it, FEMA does not have the capacity. The National Guard does not have that capacity. Amazon might. That's a problem. If a corporation is more powerful than the U.S. government, I've got news for you. The U.S. government is a lot less reasonable. The U.S. government is a lot less powerful. The U.S. government is a lot less, I'm trying to think of a third word, but I can't. All the while, sitting in the position of Amazon's senior vice president of global corporate affairs has been a former press secretary for both Obama and Biden, who prominently displayed a framed Joe Biden poster last year at a DNC policy roundtable as he boasted about his role in the convention. Alongside this, consider the role that the paper owned by Amazon's now executive chair, Jeff Bezos, the Washington Post, has played in Biden's political fortunes. During the Democratic primary, the Post relentlessly hounded Biden's chief rival, Bernard Sanders, deploying everything from op-eds to dubious fact checks. Do you remember when there were those posts like, you know, the Washington Post said something that Bernie supported, and then when Bernie said he supported that and then cited the Washington Post article, the Washington Post then published another article saying, oh, Bernie's got 28 Pinocchios, he lied about this thing that like they published was again, just ridiculous shit, in the service of either attacking Sanders or defending Biden. And while the paper still publishes good critical reporting of the administration, its opinion section, when not criticizing the president from the right, tends to defend his swampy potential appointees, wave away justified policy criticisms, or publish someone like Jennifer Rubin, a rabid neoconservative Obama critic who has since transitioned to full-time Biden cheerleading. Like, her Twitter is really fun, and like, maybe I should do a segment where I just read her tweets because it's extremely funny. Contrary to how it was initially reported, Bezos hasn't actually stepped down from Amazon, but has simply become the executive chair of its board. As the Amazon's financial chief explained, Bezos is going to stay very involved in Amazon. He's really not going anywhere, and the role change was more of a restructuring of who's doing what, with Bezos continuing to have his imprint on new product developments. And as Bezos explained to his employees, he will use this shift in responsibility to, among other things, focus on the Post. At this point, it's worth remembering the 2006 admission of the paper's current editorial page editor that its opinion pieces speak for the publisher, for the owner, who intended to hire someone, me, who they think generally will share their worldview. Just as Amazon's size allowed it to bully and potentially extract outrageous concessions from cities and states to get it to move there, the breadth of Amazon's economic clout gives it a myriad of ways to both curry influence with the U.S. government and to make itself indispensable to the politicians who run it. We don't know now if that's what's behind the Biden administration's silence on its union busting, but we're rapidly moving toward a future where there'll be no question. So again, just the idea that you have this press secretary, Jen Psaki or whatever, she's lying her fucking ass off on public television and in the White House pressing briefings over and over and over. Remember, they're not child detention centers, or they're what does she call them? They're not kids in cages. They're like, detention facilities or what. I don't know. She's been basically just trying to be, in a lot of ways, she's going for like the most lies as a press secretary. She's really giving Kayleigh McEnany a run for her money, right? And it's just ridiculous, right? The same people that spent years telling us that Trump is a unique evil, kids in cages, oh no, he's so bad. As soon as Biden becomes president, those same liberals are going like, oh yeah, all those policies that Trump supported that Biden agrees with, that's great stuff. The kids in cages? No, they're not kids in cages. They're in summer camps, right? They got balloons and they hit piñatas or whatever, right? Oh, no. They're not lying about unions. No. They're just, they're telling it how it is. No, right? Again, like, I'm not saying Biden is worse than Trump, but he is not that much better. And you have to understand that. The next 4 years is going to be a long 4 years. And there's a lot of people who, when Trump is no longer president, got bored of politics. The spectacle is over, folks. And that's exactly what Joe Biden is trying to profit off of. The spectacle being over. Government's back to normal. But what does back to normal mean? In this case, back to normal means he's going to fuck you in the ass and then he's going to lie about it and laugh about it. That's what it means. So, fuck Joe Biden. All my homies hate Joe Biden. Fuck that guy.